supposed to speak for 2 minutes.
Wow.
Was that
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I think all three of us have gotten our stuff in.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for April 2nd, 2024. First, we have approval of the agenda. Dean, I believe we're going into closed session. Could you please give us the citations?
Yes, they're paragraphs 1, 5, 8, and 29 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Okay, thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Please join us in a moment of silence, and Councilmember Carrera, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have anyone who would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing no one and hearing no one, we will move on. There's no public hearing. Our first agenda item is a proclamation. This is a proclamation to proclaim Humanity First USA Beat Hunger Day as April 3rd, 2024 in the city of Manassas Park, Virginia. Whereas, according to USDA, 44 million people in the United States, including 11 million children, are battling hunger and feeling food insecure. And whereas the Consumer Price Index shows that food prices rose 2.6% from January 2023 to January 2024. And whereas the observance of Beat Hunger Day on April 3rd, 2024 is an opportunity to support the food security program of Humanity First USA, which provides vital and critical services by donating food, volunteering, and raising awareness about hunger issues in the United States. And whereas the campaign encourages its supporters to skip lunch on April 3rd, 2024, and donate their lunch money to Humanity First USA to feed fellow Americans. And whereas this organization has hundreds of caring volunteers across the U.S. who donate their time, vehicles, gasoline, and energy to deliver hundreds of thousands of meals annually to our fellow citizens in the United States. And whereas Humanity First USA is consistently partnering with local food banks and pantries working together to beat hunger. Now therefore, I, Jeanette Rischel, Mayor of the City of Manassas Park, Virginia, and on behalf of the Manassas Park Governing Body, hereby proclaim and recognize April 3rd, 2024 as Humanity First USA Beat Hunger Day, and urge every citizen to take time on this day to honor Beat Hunger Day, the people it will serve, the volunteers who care for them, and acknowledge that our involvement in Humanity First USA Beat Hunger Day can enrich our entire community and help combat hunger in America. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. We have with us this evening Mr. Hibby Iqbal. He has been serving with Humanity First USA for more than 15 years as a volunteer. He is currently serving as Humanity First Country Director for Mexico, as well as on the National Disaster Relief Team. So I would love to present this proclamation to you. Do you want to skip over? And we invite you to say a few words if you would like. Speak directly into the microphone.
Can you hear me? Is the sound coming through? Okay, great. Thank you so much to this body and mayor for the proclamation. I think the proclamation covered very well what this initiative is all about and what Humanity First is all about. Just wanted to give a little bit of more background to this body here about Humanity First USA. We are now in our 20th year in the U.S. We're celebrating our 20th year. Manassas Park is a very unique location. It's in the middle of two of our major hubs. We are the sister organization of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in the United States. We have a mosque in Hoadley Road, and then we have a mosque in Chantilly, Mubarak Mosque. Both are two of our biggest chapters in the United States, and both will have a running food bank very shortly. And all the proceeds from this initiative, this Fast to Feed initiative, will be supporting these food banks along with 8 other food banks that the Humanity First USA supports in the United States. And since 2004, Humanity First USA has served over 829,000 people through the food security programs. And especially during the pandemic, the work picked up, but now as we've across the pandemic, the inflation has taken a toll. We've seen a lot more of a need for these food security programs, and we thank this body here for making this proclamation and getting the word out about this situation, because it does hit us at home here as well. And we look forward to continuing to work with you here in this city as well as in other neighboring areas, and making sure that we are servicing those in need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you. Okay, next is presentation update on the various committees by Councilmember Hampton.
Okay. All right, can we pull up the PowerPoint, please? So we've had a very busy month. Many things have been postponed a couple of times, well, 3 or 4 times, I think, because nature decided to not cooperate with us. But we'll start off the Community Maintenance Working Group. If you go to the second slide, that just kind of gives you a roadmap of everything that we've done since 2021. This year, 2024, we're focusing on 3 things: developing and launching a code training, a volunteer corps for wintertime, and for the summertime for those individuals who are unable to care for their own yard due to snow or just Mother Nature with grass. And we're also continuing the cleanups through Keep the Park Beautiful. So if we go to the third slide, this is a still shot of the video that we've created on grass and weeds to explain the code. It's very short, it's very sweet. We'll be sending it on to Dean and to Laszlo later this week for approval. The committee reviewed it, committee created it, and so far so good, we like it. And Yessie was the one that actually went out and found the software for us to create this. And the other thing that we're going to be working on, we have a dire need for our website to be updated. You'll see on today's agenda, there is an individual that put their hand up to volunteer. So we're now fully, once that person is approved, then it will be fully staffed as far as volunteers. So more to come with the Community Maintenance Working Group. We have a very good group of people that come together once a month, sometimes more than that, to put things together. All right, on to the next one is the Keep the Park Beautiful. We had a very, very exciting weekend. You probably, if you take a look at social media, you've seen some things posted. We finally had our Brandy Station event. Considering that it was a holiday weekend, we did have a good turnout. A number of small children. Yessie and I were able to speak to a number of mothers. They expressed their concerns to us in the police department, and you all saw that in the email that we sent forward. So in addition to that, we still have a space vacant for a resident to participate in the group. And here are some pictures from the event. You know, we also did some litter removal the day of. Mike Smith went out the next day, filled the back of his truck with the stuff that we couldn't pick up. On Saturday, we saw came across at least 3 tires on the sidewalk, a box of beer on the sidewalk. trash cans, not as bad as in the past, but still trash cans littering about. What we did have that day, in addition to events, we also had information material out there. We created a magnet with information about the code, the trash code. It was in English and Spanish, and Public Works used their funds to have that printed, and they'll use that, distribute it in different things. We also did videos on the fly for social media and broadcast media. There's a link in there if you go to on the Spanish one to 2 minutes and 37 seconds. You have Yessie and I speaking Spanish, primarily Yessie. I don't know if the video there. It wants to be difficult, doesn't it?
Yep. As usual.
But we did this in English and Spanish, not only just for social media, for broadcast media, and also for use down the road when we put in for more grants. The day was thankfully possible through donations from the committee members, as well as some other organizations. We will have the vendors and the sponsors here in in May, to give them appreciation and provide them certificates, because it's the right thing to do. And the children actually had a blast. There's a picture of, they went to town on me with a face paint. There's a picture somewhere about that. But overall, it was a very, very good event. We do have some upcoming events. Later this month, we're gonna have the Lower Kent litter cleanup. We still have to reschedule the March 23rd street cleanup. Once again, we had to postpone that because of weather, so more to come. And then, of course, we have things in June and September. And if anyone is interested, just reach out to Yessie or I, go to our Facebook page, go to our website. And thank you to the committee members that made this past Saturday possible. And now on to the 50th Anniversary Committee. This is just a recap of the resolution. I always like to go back to what we agreed upon so we know what we're working with. And then as far as progress, we had our second meeting about 2 weeks ago. We're sticking with the tagline of people, place, policy, and progress. We do need volunteers. We're going to start recruitment to help go through the archives and scan information in the archives. Our archives are pretty much stuff that's in Ms. Connor's office, as well as what's in the car barn over at the former golf course. And we're talking, 60, 70 years worth of stuff? Enough that we could actually have our own little museum here in the park. We're also going to be reaching out through one of our committee members to the schools and have them do logo and video development, as well as a campus poster contest, and that's going to be at all 3 campuses. With the website and social media, that's some of our immediate work. We're going to be collecting any archival information that people have. Like for our house, not too long ago, we actually got rid of one of our old water bills, and by old, like 20 years old. Why we still had it, don't know. As well as collecting and posting stories and photos from past and current residents. Long-term activities, we realize that the 50th birthday of the city actually falls on our governing body meeting in July 1st, 2025. So we're going to work on some sort of official big birthday celebration at that governing body meeting. What that is just yet, we don't know, but more to come. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that we're going to be working on a barbecue contest, a full-fledged barbecue contest. More to come. Finances, we have no money yet, so which makes this really easy to keep up to date. As you know, as we agreed upon, there would be money in the fiscal 25 budget, and then we're going to try to supplement that with sponsorships. What those sponsorships are, more to come. And then Mr. Wren's, the late Mr. Wren, his family posted some pictures, and this is the Independence Day celebration back in Costello Park. And this is over where the ball fields are, and this is probably the late 80s and 1990s. So back in the day, you would have the Lions Club, and they would sell popcorn, snow cones, cotton candy, and I forget whatever else they had. You had the VFW, you had the Boy Scouts, and you had the Women's Club. And you see all the people up on the hill. We had bands back in the day, way back in the day. The day would start with a parade down Manassas Drive. So that's just a little bit of our history. Then our next steps are a lot of the stuff that we just talked about, getting the website up, get a web page up so that people can submit any things that they have, stories, artifacts, pictures, also some information, and the logo, poster, and video. And our next meeting is April 18th. And just as a side note, when we passed this in November, it was asked that we had 3 city council members. Still just me. So, and I'm not going to ask Councilmember Amaya because she's already on 2 committees plus other committees.
We can reduce the number of council.
I think we can.
Okay, I think we should probably do that. 'Cause I know it's been brought up.
Yeah.
Can you speak directly into the microphone? Yeah, you.
I know it's been vacant for a couple of months now. I think maybe one thing we could consider is removing the option of having 3 council members there, maybe just.
Yeah.
You know.
I know Councilmember Moore suggested that so that minutes would be taken. Yeah.
But I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm
And we
free.
take-
Open to serve?
They still take minutes.
Yeah, we take minutes for all of our committee meetings.
Yeah.
I'm open.
Are meetings going to be routinely on Thursdays?
Yes.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I'd be happy to join.
Okay. I can't pick you up, though. You'll have to, in your crutches.
I'm driving now.
Oh.
Good. Yeah. Watch out.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Councilmember Hampton. The budget, have you guys come up with an estimate? I mean, is it your intention, your committee, to have some kind of estimate that we can include in our 25 budget prep?
We can try. This is only our second meeting,
Okay.
and we have a timeline of some different activities. But we can come up with a rough idea.
Yeah, I think a rough, any kind of number we could plug in to
Yeah.
budget would be helpful.
And I'm not talking about 1.5 million.
Well, that's good. But yeah, no, that'd be great if the committee comes up with something we could plug in. That'd be great.
Okay.
Can I just clarify one thing? So I saw the July 1st, per the city code, we actually meet on the 3rd Tuesday of July.
That's right.
To set the meeting schedule. So you would have to, and Dean can clarify if I'm wrong, but or in June, you got to clarify that you want to meet on July 1st as well. But generally per code, the first meeting of the year, of the new fiscal year, is the 3rd week of July, and that's where you adopt the official calendar of schedule of meetings for the
Which is
whole
after
year.
the 4th.
It is after the 4th, yeah.
But we can easily do that. We can have a special meeting just for a celebration.
Or some kind of event at City Hall or some kind
Right.
of
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
I'm not sure a full meeting would be
Yeah.
necessary.
We were thinking of just something like maybe a big cake. We don't know just yet. In my mind, I was thinking of something that would get us in the Guinness Book of World Records. What that is, I don't know.
The committee may want to meet with our city planner, Melissa. She does amazing
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So that was the intent, to have a city staff member. But we have Ms. Connor kind of in both worlds, so
Okay.
we'll work through Ms. Connor to talk to Melissa.
Well,
Sounds good.
yeah, through the city manager's office. We work through the city manager's office,
Of
talk to
course,
Melissa.
yeah.
So a city manager rep should attend that first meeting and determine what's the best course of action.
Yeah.
Once you have a guesstimate of how much funds you need, are you going to issue a call in the city for donations?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we said this is only the second meeting that we've had, so we
Okay.
still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, we don't really know what those sponsorships are. We don't know if it's like people buying bricks. We still have to do a lot of research. Other jurisdictions have done that, where you buy bricks and you have the person's name engraved on it. Other jurisdictions I've been at, they have where you sponsor a bench. I think North Beach, over in North Beach, they have that on their pier. So, yeah.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 8, we have an informational item, which is ERP module vendor selection update. Good evening, Keith.
Good evening,
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the governing body. So before you is an info item on the selection of Tyler Technology through a competitive process to be the vendor of choice for the HR and finance module of our ERP. And this is the agenda. I'll sort of touch on the process that got us to this point. And I am joined by Katie. She is part of the Barry Dunn consultant team that we've been working with for the last 2 years, as well as Justin and Anthony, who are from the Tyler team, who's going to give you a quick presentation on what their capabilities are and a quick demo. And now we're kind of wrapped up with next steps. So, excuse me. So how did we get to where we are? As you know, ever since the governing body voted to approve funding to upgrade our legacy ERP system, staff has been working with Barry Dunn for the last couple of years to go through a very exhaustive, deliberate process to search, vet, and score and select vendors. We started to implement the tax module with Affinity, and I can touch on that if you would like. And now we are finally selecting the vendor of choice for HR and finance. The team that did this work primarily consists of HR, IT, finance, as well as treasurer and commissioner of revenue, and along with our consultant Barry Dunn, to make sure that we are doing the right things in accordance with the RFP process. After several months of vetting and blind scoring, we decided to choose Tyler for a variety of reasons, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But as you can see, this started back in last March, so roughly a year now. There were 3 vendors that submitted the proposal. After the first round scoring, we brought 2 back with demos, and that was Central Square as well as Tyler. For the demos, we used the same scripted scenario for both vendors to make sure that we remain neutral and unbiased. After the demos were conducted, we did reference check on the 2 vendors, and then we requested additional demos on one of the vendor based on a niche capability need that we identified during the process. After round 2 and round 3 scoring were conducted on January 12th, we compiled this presentation to present to you all. So how did the scoring work out for 3 vendors? Again, round 1 is based on the proposal that was submitted. As you can see, the top 2 vendors were very close between Central Square and Tyler, Edmonds Gov. They were missing about 20% of the modules that we were requesting, so they scored very low in the first round. Moving on to the second round, it was a very tight race between Central Square and Tyler. However, during the demo, staff felt that the Central Square demo team did not do a good job conveying their capabilities. Additionally, there were a lot of third-party components that require additional integration, as well as, because of the additional integration, there are more chances for data to get corrupted. And so they did not score as well as Tyler, who demonstrated really all of the required critical components that we were looking for. And then round 3 scoring, there were 2 elements to this, reference check. And as you can see here, it was a runaway for Tyler because of their robust presence, particularly in Virginia. And then lastly, of course, cost is a factor. Tyler is not the least expensive, but because of all the pros that we've identified through the process, the total score put them as the best choice for the selection. With that being said, I will turn it over to the Tyler team for their demonstration.
Thank you so much, Keith. And thank you, everybody. Keith, do you mind switching me over here to present?
Give us 1 second, please.
Thank you.
Justin, I can work the slide for you if you want.
Okay, yeah, we can do that if needs be here, sure. Are you seeing my screen now or no?
Is it on the Tyler by the numbers?
1 second, 1 second.
Well,
Give me a second,
I'll work the
guys.
slide for you, Justin.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I'm looking at a different screen now, I think, so let me give me 1 second here. All right, I see my screen coming up there. All right, you see me okay now?
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again, Keith, and thank you everyone for taking the time to allow us to come and tell you a little bit about Tyler and about our products. My name is Justin Almy. I am an account executive here at Tyler Technologies. I've been here for a little over 18 years. I've worked in a lot of roles. Started in support and implementation. And then I was a project manager for about a decade, overseeing projects just like the one you're about to embark on here. Before moving into the sales side of the organization 5 or 6 years ago. Joining me as well from Tyler is Anthony Libby. Anthony's going to be giving us a demonstration here in a few minutes, just to give you a glimpse of the software itself. But before doing so, I just want to give you all a quick introduction as to who Tyler is and kind of what we're about here. So to start, Tyler is the largest software provider focused exclusively on the public sector. We have about 40,000 installations in about 13,000 unique locations across the country, across all 8 of our divisions. Again, all 40,000 of those are public sector, city, county, school installations. We have over 7,000 employees across the country, 45% of which have actually worked in the public sector in the past. So most of these are previous clients that have retired from their local government positions and then come and work for Tyler as kind of a second career. We've been around a long time. We've been around for over 35 years in the public sector. And over that time, we have a 98% client retention rate. So we have a long track record of success. We also have a strong balance sheet, and we're included on the S&P 500. So we have the resources to invest in our products and in our people, and have the staying power to be a long-term and a stable partner. Honing in a little bit more specifically here on the ERP product that we're going to be looking at here today. This product is used by over 2,200 local governments across the country. And in the Commonwealth specifically, we have a very strong footprint. We have over 100 clients. I think the number is about 113, 114 now, that are utilizing the same ERP solution that you're looking at. Here are some of the example municipalities around the same size and same scope as Manassas Park. Again, a strong presence here. And we also have a very great and active user community here in the state that's a wealth of knowledge. So I just quickly want to go through, what you're getting with Tyler and how we and our solutions align with the city's goals and objectives that were set forth in your RFP for this project. So to start with, as you're going to see when Anthony starts the demonstration here in a few minutes, Tyler's ERP solution is modern and robust. It's built from the ground up for local government, so it's not a retrofit from a software from another sector. It has all the functionality and capabilities that you'd want without being too complex to easily use or successfully implement. And it continues to advance, so the city will never be on out-of-date software again. So as part of your annual subscription, you're going to have access to the latest and greatest software. You're also getting experience and expertise. So as I mentioned, we have a long track record of success. Those 2,200 clients, 113 or so here in Virginia, those are all projects very much like yours, and they're all implemented by Tyler staff. So all of our development, support, and implementation teams are all in-house employees. So they're not only experts in the software, but because we only serve the public sector, they're also experts in the unique needs and requirements of a local government. You're also getting a partnership with Tyler. So we want to be that long-term partner with the city. That's why we continue to invest in our products and the latest tools and technology and in our people. So the city continues to see advances in their investment. And as I mentioned, our 98% client retention rate and the fact that 45% of our clients have used Tyler for more than a decade just shows that our users trust in our products and our people and in our vision. As you'll see here, as Anthony jumps into demonstration. Our products allow for the appropriate audience to easily access and analyze the data that is important to them and pertains to them. It has customizable workflows throughout that allows for electronic notifications and approvals for fast and efficient business processing. We also have an integrated content management system, so that allows for all the backup documentation to be directly attached to the system records, meaning no more file cabinets or no more chasing down pieces of paper. We have a separate but integrated project and grants management program, so that allows for detailed tracking of project and grants without complicating or kind of blowing up your chart of accounts. We have a decentralized budgeting process that allows for departmental users to enter in their budget requests and have those electronically go through the approval chain and ultimately get to the centralized budget management team. And the system is fully integrated. So that's going to allow data to flow seamlessly between the different functional areas, finance, payroll, HR, right out of the box. And then we also have flexible imports and exports and available APIs to integrate with those third-party applications that you're also implementing now. You're also going to have vendor and employee online portals to allow partners and vendors and employees to self-serve themselves online. And so in turn, reduce the staff time related to those tasks. Through electronic recruiting process, you're going to be able to post your vacant positions online and allow applicants to apply electronically and kind of go through that whole hiring process electronically. And then once you have that new hire, that candidate or that new hire can fill out all their onboarding paperwork and all of their pre-employment tasks electronically before they even step in the door. So I just kind of scratched the surface there. I just want to, again, kind of tie in some of the high-level functions of the product to the, again, objectives and goals that the city had set forth in the RFP. So that's it for me. Again, thank you so much for allowing us to come and spend a few minutes with you. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Anthony here for the demonstration now. And again, we're just going to spend a few minutes. We're not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but wanted to give everyone a chance to just kind of see the software, get a glimpse of what it can do, what it looks like, so we can get everyone kind of excited for the next steps here. So with that, Anthony, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right. So thank you, Justin. And good evening, governing board and all attendees. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can take a look to see what the city has spent months investing time and resource in evaluating our solution. And oftentimes when we're doing presentations like this, I will start on this page. This is our web deployed dashboard, something that our city manager or finance director might have. But in light of tonight's presentation, I'm actually going to start with our governing board in mind first. So this actually is going to be a solution that will be rolled out to the governing board and really anybody that is a decision maker for the city of Manassas part. And what this is going to do is make sense of all of the efforts within the city, all the debits and credits, if you will, that go into the back office solution. And actually, this is something that will pull that data based on your refresh rates and put it into a very easy to digest metric or card for you to review at any point in time. And this is something that, whether the focus is on cash or your fund balances or budget versus actuals, throughout the financial side of the house, or payroll and HR metrics, this is going to provide oversight of all the activity that is taking place within the city. And with all of these, this is going to allow you to pin or associate city goals as far as whether or not the city is living up to the goals that we've set forth for any of these metrics that we're looking at. So without having to dig any deeper, we can see where we're staying on track, where we're starting to come off the rails, so to speak, a little bit, or where we've essentially we have an issue that needs to be responded to. All of these are actionable. It allows you to drill into the cards, flip it, if you will, and then with that get snapshots of information. Your snapshot's going to be essentially your year-to-date activity, showing you simple budget versus actual information just by hovering over any one of these metrics that are in view here. And then with that, allow you to leverage your chart of accounts to essentially reshape that data so that it's more in line with how you prefer to look at this information. Now, of course, it certainly allows us to see this in fine detail here, but if you want to turn this information on its side and look at this over time, this allows you to not only see where we're trending within the city, but also to run projections. If we continue on this collection rate or this spend rate, where are we going to land at the end of the year? And then with that, be able to even focus on specific points in time of your fiscal year so that we can examine a bit closer from here. Now, of course, behind the scenes of all of these metrics will be the underlying details. This is essentially where all of this information is coming from, and that is going to be reflective of every one of the metrics that we're looking at. But rather than put the burden on your IT staff to deliver this information at every city council meeting, we can simply allow the governing board to watch any of these metrics of interest, or simply say, keep me updated. Every Monday morning, I want to receive an update of a particular metric, or only email me if we hit a certain threshold that's defined by each and every one of you. So then, rather than having to ask for a report to see where the city is, now you can have those reports delivered to you when we're hitting those user-defined thresholds, and allows the city to really get out of the business of having to analyze the data that's going into the system, but now become a bit more proactive rather than reactive when we're looking at that information. And then this also provides the ability for the governing body to see where we are trending, so we can do comparative analysis right from here. This allows you to actually also choose ranges of points in time for that look back period as well. And that does not just pertain to an individual card. It allows you to apply that to every one of your metrics. On the payroll HR side of the house, it allows you to quickly make sense of your workforce, where you're trending as well, get simple metrics as far as head counts, positions, retirements, and resignations. There is a change coming. We have a number of folks within local governments that are getting ready for retirement. This allows you to quickly see who within your organization is getting close to that age without having to maintain sub-solutions or Excel spreadsheets to capture that. But this is all something on the back end of the efforts of the city. I'm now going to go ahead and jump back to our dashboard so we can talk a little bit about what you're getting having an integrated solution. Now, this is what we refer to as our Tyler Hub. This is the launching point for all of the applications and reports that the folks that run the city will be utilizing on a regular basis. But right away, what we can provide is the ability for those members of the workforce to get away from having to go and run a report per se to find out where we are with any one of these metrics that we might be looking at. This is something that allows us to surface reports right within the confines of these hub pages or dashboards that update in real time as folks are just doing their daily jobs, that allow users to change visualizations based on preferences and how they want to look at that, but then also provide the ability to pull down that information into a more standardized report should they have the need. And then with that, be able to format and push it out to your reporting format of choice right from those hub pages without having to, again, go out and run those more traditional reports that I'm sure we're all accustomed to. These colorful cards across the top, these are your hub cards, delivering things such as all of your approvals electronically. So one of the key differentiators for our solution is the fact that every one of your processes will be wrapped through an integrated approval process, creating internal controls that your auditors will love to see at the end of the year during your year-end audit. But this allows those decision makers to approve items directly through here and then act on them seamlessly and then advance them into any further approvals, or if need be, simply drill into an application to finalize that particular item. Now, what I've just done is I've just drilled into our requisitions application so that I can see a requisition for purchase that came from one of my departmental users. I'll see essentially the entire history of those approvers and anybody that's acted on them from here, but this allows us to then approve directly from the record itself, but then from there, we can allow the system to take care of the heavy lifting. It's taking care of the journal entries. It's updating your general ledger as I've approved that requisition. It also has provided a document without having to go and print a purchase order. So I've got the purchase order already queued up, but then quotes and anything else that is associated with that record will then become part of that transaction without any additional efforts of the city except attaching any external documents that are not produced from our solution as part of a print process. And with that, we're going to be able to really create a lot of different efficiencies for those users of the city or within the city. Now, on the financial side of the house, there's a lot of different information that we can focus on here. We can create different visualizations based on the task that you are performing or the role that you are providing for the city. So this is something that is providing access for all my financial information, but if I wanted to focus on those projects and grants, I can have different hub pages to surface that information without having to go and run reports, but then have quick access to the applications that I might utilize to manage that module, or quick access to the reports that I'm generating from within here. Because we are going to be leading with the HCM side of the house, I'll take a second to show you some of the HCM information that's just lifted from our Tyler solution, our ERP solution. And within the world of our human capital management, it comes in a number of different flavors. We have recruiting functions, our employee engagement, payroll processing, benefit administration, all of that can be leveraged within here without having to go and ask the question. We can simply see of our employees who needs immediate attention. Do I have employees that have certifications that are expiring that are part of their job requirements? Performance evaluations that need to be addressed, or upcoming training. So these are all things that, again, it helps tell the story of all the things that we're tasking our workforce to manage effectively. But the big difference here is the fact that it can be a single transaction, and oftentimes those transactions can come from outside of the brick and mortar of the city hall. It allows information to be reviewed, approved, and then where there's an impact of the general ledger, allow the system to create those journal entries for you. So, and then it greatly increase the efficiencies that the city is looking to achieve in the modernization of your various ERP solutions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pause and see if there's any questions that you might have for me, or hand it over to Keith so he can wrap up.
Questions? Yes, ma'am.
This is probably more for Keith. Since this seems very, what's the word, automated, I was wondering how many processes that are we going to have to convert from manual to automated so that it works well with this software?
So, so this is sort of a two-part question. One is more staff and one is more data. I believe that Tyler can pull all of the data from Keystone, and their system is built to automate a lot of these processes. Keystone is a NoSQL database, and it's very input-heavy, which is why our staff has to do a lot of workarounds to get the data to work. For this, it's automating a lot of those workflows. So in theory, it should speed up a lot more for our staff. In terms of staff capacity, several of our staff, especially from HR, have used Tyler in the past, and so they're very familiar with the system and the platform.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is, I understand that we're pulling some of this data from other sources, from other pieces of software and pulling it in there. But I would imagine at some point there's probably some sort of manual entry of some sort of software, of information. Have we thought about safeguards to make sure that anything that we enter manually is correct? That, we don't accidentally put in 1.5 million when it should have been $150?
Yes, there's some of these tools in here, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, there are a statistical table that will kind of provide us, if something seems up, it will see our variance, and they'll allow us to kind of go back and check. But in terms of ingesting data, I believe most of it is going to be import-export files. Is that right, Anthony?
That is a fair statement, Keith. And absolutely. And that's actually one of the main reasons why any time we're either converting data or once we have gone live with a solution, we wrap all of the hosting routines that essentially will take those files and then make them or finalize those transactions. We wrap them around a workflow so that we have the ability to engage with the data and review it before anything gets posted to the ledger. But as far as conversions go, our implementation team is going to essentially provide the necessary reports and tools to proof all the data. And as part of that, our implementation team is going to essentially make sure that any system that we are converting from and bringing it into our ERP solution, that the balances that are coming into the system tie back to the legacy solution. So that is something that every one of our implementation staff members is versed in, but certainly we're going to need the city's guidance to verify those numbers.
Yeah, what he's describing there is the data testing step of the project management implementation, which the vendor themselves will do, but also we plan on having the project management team, Averos or whoever we decide if, as Averos helps us out with the current implementations to help with the data testing. But that's one phase of the project management cycle.
Yeah. Where basically you run it out of the legacy and you run it out of the new system, you do a compare and contrast.
Correct. That's part of the data testing, and then you're still running the older system as well concurrently with the new system.
That's typical. And one last question. I'm full of questions. Don't show me shiny things, and I'm going to have all sorts of questions. So I know the dashboards are really amazing. My question is can some of those dashboards be linked to a public page on the website? If, let's say, for example, we wanted to show the residents the revenue collected from, from selling bread in the city. Is that a feature that's available with this?
I believe so. I think, Anthony, you're pulling that up right now, right?
Absolutely. So everybody's efforts is not lost in vain. Every transaction that goes into the system can then be surfaced for our governing board through executive insights, but then we also have an outward-facing portal through our open finance solution that really takes all your budgetary information, your vendor payments, and then potentially, if you want to surface your payroll information, out to the public. This allows them to see your approved budgets. And then what we've done is we've actually mimicked essentially the same presentation which the GFOA wants to be able to present your budget. Not only are we showing how we're spending that budget, which we're allowing your constituents to drill in based on, again, the information that you want to make transparent for your constituents to the point where they're able to answer their own questions, but we're also showing how that is going to be funded through here as well. And this is something that really allows you to see additional returns on your investment, because this is a plug-and-play solution outside of mocking up essentially the visualization, what this site is going to look like. It's already plugged into your ERP solution, so it's updating based on the refresh rate of the city. And then it allows those constituents that have an interest really to simply come in here and poke around and drill into the data and answer their own questions, changing visualizations, sharing data with other members of the community. But then with that, you're not tasking IT or other folks within the city to respond to a lot of FOIA requests when we can self-serve a lot of that information within here. This also allows a place to provide highlights to the community, as well as even hang on the website the things such as your comprehensive financial reporting, the downloadable PDFs, if you will. And I've also worked with clients that would put their PDF of their budget book. So again, this is a domain that we're very well versed in. We've been here for a long time. We understand essentially some of those needs, and transparency is one of those areas that's been popular for the last 10 years, gaining momentum, where the information's there. We live in a world where access to information has never been more important, and this is something that allows the city to provide that to their constituents effortlessly.
Okay, thank you so much. Those are all my questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I just have two questions, and I support numerous Tyler applications in my employer. One question I have is, are you using the Tyler interoperability engine for the interfaces to import and export? Do you use that on this product?
What was the interface? I'm sorry.
The interoperability engine. It's used on the other side of the other Tyler products, especially the public safety ones.
That is a great question for me. I am Vanna White. I am not our technology resource, but I can certainly provide you.
It was just more curiosity. The second piece is, when is hopefully the live date? What is it projected? Was it Q4 this year?
No, it'd be
For Tyler?
You have it in the agenda. What was it on the agenda?
We're hoping to start fiscal year 26, July.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Comments or questions? Comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Keith, for the presentation and for Tyler's presentation. It's very interesting, it's exciting, it's dynamic that we're going to have a financial management system that our directors and our city manager will be able to use and get data quickly and effortlessly. Fully integrated, so that mean that they interface with each other, that our tax module will interface with Tyler, and our utility module will interface as well?
Yeah, so I'll discuss that broadly. So all of our vendors, whether it's Benny for tax, Edmonds Gov for utility billing, and now Tyler for HR finance, are all SQL database. And so we made a deliberate choice to go that route, just to make sure that we don't have the integration issues that we experienced with Keystone.
So they will be talking to each other. Great.
And this happens in other jurisdictions too, where, like I believe our neighbor Manassas uses a different software for utility billing. Fairfax City is they're implementing Tyler right now. They're going to utilize a different payroll system for timesheets. So Tyler's built out to be able to connect with different softwares.
I think that's the better system, as opposed to having one big system that could crash or whatever, then wipes out everything. Having these three systems is a great way to go. Training. How many hours per employee will be trained for Tyler, and is that included in the budget?
So I'll defer the budget question to Mr. Palco. We haven't fully hashed this out yet because we just finalized the selection. We'll have to go back and look at the agreement and work that up.
Well, does Tyler have a comment? I'm just curious, when you go into these various cities, how many man hours per week or whatever does it take to train staff to use your system?
Yeah, I can speak to that in general. So it's to give you specifics, I probably won't be able to say specifically, X number of hours a day, because it's going to kind of fluctuate. So there's going to be different phases of the project. So what will happen when we first start the implementation? As part of the proposal, yes, you're going to have a project manager. You're going to have implementation hours for the whole project based off of our experience in implementing like projects. So to answer your question, yes, that's part of the proposal and be part of the budget is there's training and setup for all of your systems and project management to oversee it. But when we start the implementation, you're first going to work with a project manager to lay out the entire project plan for the implementation. And so you're going to start out with really your subject matter experts in the analysis phase that are going to be going through your processes and really designing how the system's going to be set up and how it's going to be utilized. So at the front end, you're going to have probably a few resources that are going to be engaged in that part of the process. And then as we get further on, we'll get into kind of core user testing and setup, where some of your maybe core users are going to be engaged a little bit more. for a certain time frame to start to build out the system and start to work on those data conversions. And then ultimately you'll get to the end user testing. So the end users are really going to be trained at the end, very close to go live, and really trained on their specific functions. So to answer your question, I can't really say specifically how much each person is going to necessarily be engaged, but you'll have all of that laid out in your project plan early on in the project. I hope that helps some.
No, it does.
I
It
can
does.
dig in deeper if you like.
No, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
And staff plans to bring the agreement back at some point to you all, since we're so far out, to include the critical path scheduling, all that stuff, so.
Thanks, Keith.
But just a reminder, we got to get a contract done before December of this fiscal year, so we can use ARPA funding for it.
Oh.
Okay, so please don't forget to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. good
Follow,
point.
do you have a follow-up?
No, that was great. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Comments or questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening. My question is regarding the onboarding process for the HR. There's sensitive information that's held in there. Like, how many users can have access to it, or is it protected by just each department? Like,
So as part of the deployment of our solution, we're going to look at each user and make a determination who should have access to not only the application, but also within the application. I'm actually going to pull up my employee file here as my talking point here. But what we're doing is we're really validating all the way down to the field level itself, so that if you don't have the appropriate credentials to see information, it'll be as if the information never existed within the system. And then to take that a step further, when we're talking about onboarding and employee information, there's a lot of sensitive information that can be surfaced within here. We take those documents that house that sensitive information, and what we'll do is we'll actually provide, and bear with me for a moment here, a place to store those documents, and then we'll redact anything that is sensitive in nature. So then we are looking for additional credentials for only the folks that have the ability or should have the access to see those sensitive pieces of information, whether we're talking about social security numbers, banking information. That all is something that we can wrap securities around. And then for the casual user, what we'll also do is we'll strip out any application that really they shouldn't need it to use on a regular basis, so that we don't have to worry about curiosity getting the best of them.
okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Follow-up?
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
Keith, I wanted to piggyback on Darryl's question about training. The one thing I've noticed over the years is that there was that initial training, but as time goes on, people move on. Then it's like rather than people around the fireplace and giving them a tell on how to do the training versus actually having a document. So what is the thought of making sure that training, that there's a succession in training?
No, that's a great question. So two things. I know that Tyler as a whole, as a company, has really improved their customer service. That was one of the things that really helped made our decision easier. Secondly, as we going through this implementation process for all of the module, we made a concerted effort to have at least 2 deep in each training session, a primary and alternate, as well as having a scribe to record all of these lessons learned in some sort of Visio or scribe, document repository for institutional knowledge management, so that if someone leaves, we don't just lose everything that we've learned.
Okay.
And also with the Vero contract, remember our project managers that you guys agreed to hire about a year ago? We talked about this and made sure that we paid for post-project completion some time available for ongoing training as needed as well.
Tyler does that part of the contract. They give you hours, and they can hold them off, I think, up to 2 years prior.
Yeah, and plus their customer service team is always going to be
They
available as
have
well.
good customer service.
Yeah, one of the. Go ahead, Anthony.
Sorry.
I was
Yeah,
going to say,
to piggyback off that, and sorry, Anthony was about to say the same thing, we do have tools built right into the software as well that will help with that. It's a tool that actually Anthony's pulling up right now, so I'll get out of the way, but allows us to kind of walk a user through a particular function as well. So we've got some more tools that are built into the software itself that will help with that too.
Right. So what we have built into the solution is a number of, help desk resources for your employees. So if they ever need help from an application standpoint, they always have access to a number of different options. There's the standard help. There's our knowledge base that allows you to actually pull how-to documents from our company. There's our Tyler community, which is essentially our social media. This allows you to post questions with peers amongst your community, and it's well represented in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And then we also have built into the system a tool that we used to call our Tyler Universe. Now it's our Tyler Coach, but this is integrated training. This will take essentially any process that we're looking at and then establish a scenario for your end users to master their craft. This also is something that we'll leverage exclusively or extensively through our implementation as well. But in this particular regard, it sets up a quick task as far as what I'm looking to do within here, and then it's going to start pointing on the screen where I need to go in order to complete those tasks. So I'm intuitively going to add or press the add button to add a requisition, and then from there, add a description, so on and so forth, stepping me through every necessary task from an application standpoint until I've completed that task and I've got an actual requisition in my hands or on the screen that I can then leverage for review and approval. This gets piggybacked on top of the fact that in addition to your production environment, which your daily operations will be entered into the system, we're going to provide the city with a training environment and a testing environment. And the training environment is really a place where your users can practice at any point. It's something that we oftentimes will pair with our onboarding process if they're not familiar with the solution. And it also keeps your production environment looking pristine so that we don't have to run a transaction through and then void it to see what the end result is going to be. And that's something that will stay with your solution. So regardless of the version that you are on, these tools will be baked in. It's going to sit on top of your data. It's going to be something that is accessible moving forward for the city.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
So just to clarify, Keith, the cost to integrate Avenity and Tyler is included in this contract? Or is that going to be additional later on?
You're talking about the total budget?
Yes.
Now for ERP, so with everything with tax, utilities, project management, yeah, we have enough ARPA money for all implementation. You're probably going to need another $40,000 to cover year one subscription, and that would come out of the operating, or either the operating budget or that year's software maintenance line in the CIP.
Okay, thank you.
Follow up? Okay. Comments or questions? Yep. You look puzzled.
No, I'm happy.
Okay,
It's exciting.
okay, thank you. Keith, thank you, and thanks to Tyler. This was a very informative presentation. The modules are very robust, and so I think that we are all very excited about the implementation. Thank you.
And thank you, Justin and Anthony.
Thank you. Very
Thanks,
welcome.
everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of approval of the corrected minutes of March 19th, 2024, acknowledgement of the resignation of Shaunté Jones from the Community Criminal Justice Board, the appointment of Councilmember Darryl Moore as an alternate to the UOSA Board of Directors for a term ending March 1st, 2027, appointment of Stephanie Smith to the Community Maintenance Working Group, recommendation to the Circuit Court for the appointment of Donald Shuemaker to the Board of Equalization for a term from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. Appointment of Rachel Kirkland to the Manassas Park Library Board for a term from April 1st, 2024 to March 30th, 2027. And that the governing body approve and authorize the city manager to sign a task order with Julius Branscome Incorporated for additional resurfacing of city roads in FY '24 in the amount of $339,736.36, along with a contingency of $33,973.64, for a total amount not to exceed $373,710, using remaining FY '24 street improvement and resealing funds and FY '24 additional streets funds as needed, as presented, and subject to final city attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to new business, we have tax relief for the elderly income limits.
Madam Mayor, before we have the Commissioner in Revenue, I just want to say to the city manager, the streets that we just approved, these are in addition to our normal paving project. We had some savings, and we're being able to expand our paving in our city in the coming months.
Yes, that's correct. The
And that's
worst condition
amazing, that's
roads, yeah.
exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it should be highlighted and celebrated that we'll be able to pave more streets than we had originally budgeted for.
Absolutely. And these are the worst
I-
condition streets.
And I think
as well.
that's fantastic. Just want to highlight that to our listening audience.
Welcome, Debbie.
Good evening, Mayor and governing body. I don't have any pretty pictures for you, but I just am here to request that you raise the family income for the tax relief people. It's been done in the past in increments of $10,000. Currently, for full relief, it is up to $50,000, and then partial relief for $50,001 up to $60,000. So I'm asking that you increase each of those by $10,000. I think, Jeanette, you're the only one that was here in 2014, that when they decided to raise it by $10,000 up to the $50,000, and other people wanted to raise it even more than that, and you said, I make sure to come back to you if anybody fell off of the tax relief list. And this year, we have had people that did not qualify at all, that were on partial relief, and we also didn't have people that were full relief last year. They went to partial relief.
Okay.
And that's just not like a little bit of money for them, that's like $3,000
Right.
a year, so it's
Right.
it's
So-
hard.
So just to clarify, this will mean that nobody falls through the cracks. Nobody will
Nobody
fall.
that's currently,
Yeah, nobody falls off eligibility.
Yes,
Yeah, that's-
ma'am.
That's currently, okay, thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments for our commissioner? No? Okay. Well, we do have a motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The motion is that the governing body direct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance for consideration at a future meeting that amends Division 2, exemption for the elderly and disabled of Article 2, tax on real property of Chapter 22, taxation of the Code of the City of Manassas Park, Virginia, to increase the total combined income by $10,000 and to increase the net combined financial wealth to $175,000 for eligible taxpayers to qualify for the exemption as presented.
Moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Hawk Signals, Park Central Hawk Signals. Welcome, Calvin.
Good evening, Mayor Rischel, Vice Mayor Mensing, members of council, residents, staff, and guests. I'm Calvin Odell, the Director of Community Development. Okay, I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about the Hawk Signal design we've been working on. We had a complete streets assessment of the Park Central area a couple years ago, and one of the major recommendations of that study was to deal with these mid-block crossings that people have often referred to as dangerous. We have tried to address the trees and things that block the pedestrian signage, make pedestrians more visible. But a major recommendation was we are going to have increased traffic counts through this area, of course, where, we're in Northern Virginia. We're also building a downtown. We're going to have increased pedestrian numbers. You're going to have a lot more people, if everything works out in the downtown, using these mid-block crossings. How do we make them safe for everybody? So a major recommendation of the Complete Street Study was that we place hawk signals in the mid-block crossings. And the first crossing we wanted to focus on was one that'll be directly from the theater to the existing Park 170 building where we have businesses already occupying. There is an unsignalized mid-block crossing there that is rather dangerous. If people don't know that the crossing is there, drivers may not even recognize that pedestrians are waiting to cross. And based on future pedestrian volume and high traffic counts, we really need to address the situation with something greater than what is there. We issued a city task order request for the design of this hawk signal. Volkert emerged as the best firm qualified to do the job, and we executed a task order with them in October of '23. What is a hawk? So a hawk is a high-intensity activated crosswalk, and it is it's a little bit different in appearance than a standard traffic signal. It doesn't have the same 3 stack of lights. It's not always on, as people would say, but it is still a traffic signal. It's conventional enough till people will recognize it for what it is, and it's a demand to stop traffic. And the primary goal is to increase pedestrian safety. It's utilized where conventional signals don't exist, and these mid-block crossings are a perfect example. You're never going to have a signal at a mid-block crossing. Some intersections, you may get to the point that there's so much pedestrian traffic that you just go ahead and signalize the intersection. We're never going to do that at these mid-block crossings. A hawk is a perfect candidate. If you want a surefire piece of pedestrian safety, hawk is the way to go. There are examples in Alexandria and DC around Northern Virginia where these hawk signals have been installed. And there is a better compliance rate with the drivers than and I think, we don't like to point out signals, but we have some signals in our area that are just flashing yellow lights and are push button activated, and we've seen people disregard those signals either because they don't understand what they are or because they're not expecting them. But pedestrians are left with the illusion that they're protected when they push that button, and that can be rather dangerous. So these are a more traditional thing that drivers are used to seeing that tells them, hey, you need to stop here. And more so than just the compliance rates, we also are a growing city, growing in population. We have people with disabilities, and we need to start considering that in the installation of our traffic control devices. And this signal does come with visual impairment capabilities to help visually impaired people use this pedestrian amenity. How does a hawk signal work? So the beacon is usually dark, and when I say the beacon, that's the overhead beacon on the mast, what most people would call the traffic light. It's usually dark. It's not always green, yellow, or red. But when someone pushes the pedestrian button to cross the pedestrian way, they're going to get a flashing yellow, the drivers are. When they're getting that flashing yellow, there's nothing that the pedestrian is going to see but the traditional handman countdown, red hand, don't cross. We're warning the drivers right now that this signal is about to go red. Then it's going to go into a solid yellow, which is what drivers are more typically used to associating with, oh my gosh, I'm about to get a red light. And at that point in time, the pedestrian's still just going to see a red hand. You're not safe to cross yet. Eventually, though, that pedestrian, before they get a permission to cross, a walking man that we're all used to, that signal is going to go completely red. It's going to go solid red. And it's at that point in time that we all know that drivers associate that solid red with, I need to stop here. And after that solid red, the pedestrian will get a walking man, and they will have a certain length of time that walking man will exist. until such time as the signal will then go into red flash. And that's simply just telling the people that are sitting at the signal, okay, well, you've been patient, you stopped, now something's about to change. And then when the signal goes dark, well, during that flashing red, that's when the pedestrian is getting a warning, a countdown, the handman countdown that says, hey, you've only got 15, 20 seconds, whatever, to scurry the rest of the way across the street because we're about to give the cars the go again. And unlike getting a green at a traditional traffic signal, all the Hawk does is go back to dark. So that's how the Hawk signal works. And so you can understand why it's more effective than these flashing yellow beacons that we see in other places. It's more like a traditional traffic signal. I'm going to see if I can get these informational videos to play. I don't know, did we have any luck with the sound earlier?
No.
Okay, we may have to skip the videos. If the governing body get copied on the actual PowerPoint with the videos, I apologize to any residents, guests. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to do the videos.
I may be able to switch the sound for you, Calvin. I can try it if you like.
Where's my mouse? There we go. Okay. There's no URL. There's no hyperlink.
I enabled I did the enable at the beginning, should allow the video to work, but.
Yeah, you need a hyperlink.
Okay.
You can get. Hold on. Let me start this.
No?
All right, can you guys get the sound to work? I have it on here. What's going on with the sound? Give me 1 second.
We want to watch Curious George.
One second, guys.
Okay. This doesn't sound right.
Try that.
Okay.
A first for the city of Plano. Help keep one of Plano's favorite trails usable
Sorry.
and safe.
I skipped.
To help enhance safety along the Bluebonnet Trail, a new pedestrian hybrid beacon, or PHB, has been installed along the trail where it crosses Alma Drive. This pedestrian-activated warning device is a first for the city of Plano. The signal indications will remain dark until a trail user presses the crosswalk push button. The PHB at this location operates as part of a coordinated signal system, so there may be a short wait until the trail users are permitted to cross. When traffic signal indicators for Alma Drive begin flashing yellow, drivers should slow down and exercise caution before proceeding through the intersection. Signal indications will then change to a solid yellow before turning solid red, requiring all traffic on Alma Drive to stop. Pedestrian signals for Bluebonnet Trail will display walk symbols at this point, which will allow trail users to enter the crosswalk with caution. After a set amount of time, pedestrian signals will display flashing hands with a countdown timer, and simultaneously the signals for Alma Drive will begin flashing red. During this time of flashing red indications, road users will stop and proceed when clear. Trail users shouldn't enter the crosswalk when pedestrian signals display flashing hand symbols, as there may not be enough time to cross Alma Drive before signals turn off. The signals on Alma Drive will turn dark again when pedestrian signals for Bluebonnet Trail change to a steady hand symbol. Be sure you know how these pedestrian hybrid beacons work. For road users, if the light is yellow, slow down. If it's red, be sure to stop. When the red lights flash, be sure to treat it like a stop sign and proceed when the crossing is clear. For trail users, the PHB operates as a regular pedestrian signal. Up to a 69% reduction in pedestrian crashes and up to a 29% reduction in total roadway crashes can be attributed to beacons that have been installed in other cities. It may take some getting used to, but we expect the new pedestrian hybrid beacon will help keep one of Plano's favorite trails usable and safe.
is this not working? Got the magic touch.
Meet the pedestrian hybrid beacon. This is the vehicle signal of a pedestrian hybrid beacon. The pedestrian hybrid beacon has been shown to reduce pedestrian crashes by 69%. But how does it work? The vehicle signal remains dark until it is activated by a pedestrian. While the vehicle signal is dark, the pedestrian signal displays the don't walk symbol, and vehicles may proceed through the crosswalk at regular speed. When a pedestrian presses the pedestrian push button, the vehicle signal flashes yellow to warn motorists a pedestrian is ready to cross the road. This brief flashing yellow interval is followed by a steady yellow interval informing motorists they should prepare to stop. The vehicle signal then changes to steady red, indicating motorists must stop and wait at the stop line. And the pedestrian signal changes to the walk symbol, allowing pedestrians to cross. After a short interval, the pedestrian signal switches to a countdown timer, and the vehicle signal changes to flashing red. When this occurs, no other pedestrians may enter the crosswalk. Once all pedestrians have cleared the crosswalk, motorists may cautiously proceed even as the vehicle signal continues flashing red. The vehicle signal then goes dark until the next pedestrian activates the pedestrian hybrid beacon.
Okay. So we discussed how the beacon actually works and the safety aspects of the beacon, but I have Hari Thacker here from Volker tonight, who's worked on the design of this project. We have a couple pages of the design in front of you, and Hari's going to explain exactly what the design consists of, what we'll be installing out there, and answer any questions you have about the actual design of the beacon.
Thank you, Calvin. Good evening, governing body. So what you see here is a design plan for the Hawk signal. A few things. Do we have a pointer? Do we have a pointer? That's fine. I don't think so. I'll try to speak loudly so everybody can hear, but I would like to point out a few things on the plan here. So again, this is a signal design plan for Hawk signal. Some of the design features I would like to point. What you can see here is a zoomed in version from here. So this dark circle is a signal pole. On one side of Manassas Drive, you will have a signal pole. On another side of Manassas Drive, you will have another signal pole.
Calvin, is he able to pick up the microphone and walk around with it?
Yes, you can pick up the microphone.
Ah, okay, that's good. All right, can you, yeah, this is better. All right, so again, I'll repeat. This is a signal design plan for Hawk signal. This is a signal at mid-block Manassas Drive crossing. What you see here is a signal pole, which there will be two signal poles. One signal pole will be located on one side of the road. Another signal pole will be located on the another side of the road. This dark circle is a signal pole. This is your mast arm on which you will have the Hawk signals installed. If I'm driving Manassas Drive and this is a northbound direction toward Bank Street, I will see these signals installed on mast arm. And if those signals are red, I will be stopping here at a stop bar. So the operation would be very similar to a typical signalized intersection, where if you see a signal red, you will stop at a stop bar. Similarly, if you are driving in southbound direction going towards Market Street, again, you will see your own set of signals. So these two arrows are signals installed on a mast arm, which will be overhead. And if those signals are red, you will be stopping at the stop bar. We will be installing a couple of pedestrian signs to alert motorists that there may be pedestrians ahead. So you will encounter these signs in each direction, telling motorists that pedestrians are ahead. So they can watch out for that. Also, this is a unique location. We not only have a crosswalk, so there is an existing crosswalk here, which is unsignalized, and we are trying to make it safer by installing this hog. We also have a side street well away. And there may be motorists coming out of this side street and making a left turn onto Manassas Drive. So just to give them warning, we will have a sign here as well, alerting them that there may be pedestrians on the crosswalk, so watch out for them. In addition to that, we will have this set of signs, S1, S2, S3. These signs will be installed on this mast stump here, as you can see, S1, S2, S3. So pedestrians, the motorists will be able to read these signs. So it will give them guidance that, okay, the S1 says steady red, stop. S2 says flashing red, stop, proceed when safe. And S3 is basically telling them to stop when the signal is red. So there will be enough information through signage at the location to basically tell motorists what to do when the signals are either red or flashing red. In a nutshell, that's what the hawk is. And one more thing here. So these are the signal poles. So I mentioned there'll be one pole on each side of Manassas Drive. This is how the poles will look like. These poles will be very similar to what we have at Market Street intersection. It will be black in color. It will be designer-looking type of pole. Mast stamp will also be black in color. Again, we wanted to make sure that it gels with the signal infrastructure we have to the adjacent intersection. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. This is a wonderful system to have for pedestrians. This is fantastic. Thank you. I really love the out loud messaging, verbal messaging per ADA standards. That's wonderful. Thank you. Am I correct in assuming that the total yellow light, both segments equals 15 seconds? Is that?
The yellow light will be 4 seconds. So the first sequence would be flashing yellow. That would be 4 seconds.
4 seconds for the flashing.
Then the solid yellow will also be 4 seconds.
4 for the solid.
And then it will go into dark red, the red color. And that's when the pedestrian indicator will start. So once the signal is red, the walk signal will start. And the walk will be it's a standard VDOT standard 7 second for a walk when you see the walk indicator.
Okay.
And then after 7 seconds, there will be flashing don't walk indicator, which would stay there for about 15 seconds. And that time is measured based on the length of the crosswalk.
Okay, so these are VDOT standards.
These are the VDOT standards.
Okay, thank you.
Now we have proposed 10 seconds for walk indicator before the flashing don't walk start. But 7 is the minimum standard. It's up to city how whether we want to do 7 seconds or 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
This is probably more for Laszlo and, so we're talking about 2.4 million, right? Are we gonna, no? Overall? Because I was looking at the numbers.
No, it's like 200,000. Yeah.
It's 300 for this year using ARPA.
No, the Hawk signal itself is $259,000.
Okay. So here's my question. This is where I was getting confused. I'm looking at the bottom paragraph, and it says 300K for fiscal '24, and then another 2.1 proposed fiscal '25 CIP. That includes the 300 for the Hawk, streetscape implementation 325, and then street improvements for 1.5.
Yeah, so the 1.5 is assuming we get congressionally directed funding with earmarks. If we don't get it, we don't spend that. So what we have money for is this plus the all the land, the tree planting, all the tree stuff that we're doing right now. Those are the two that we have funding for. And then if we get the earmark, then we do other improvements based off of the, what was the study called again, Calvin? The complete streets.
Complete streets
study
analysis.
for Park Central. That's why it's listed there. We're just telling you kind of everything we're trying to do in FY25 CIP, but the big chunk of 1.5 million is dependent on getting federal approval.
Okay. Thank you, because that paragraph threw me for a loop. Thank you.
Follow up?
No.
No, okay. Did you have a question? Yes, ma'am.
Is there, you don't get to ask.
I don't get to ask.
Is there a time delay between pedestrian hits? Like, will there be, if one pedestrian hits it, crosses, can another come and it'll turn red again, or is there a delay?
There is slight delay, and it is up to the city how we want to coordinate with the Market Street signal.
Okay.
So if there is a green signal on Market Street and we want to maintain that flow and let the platooning of vehicles pass through, there may be some delay, and then the pedestrian signal will come up.
Okay. And my second question is, there was one of these, well, there is one of these over by Signal Hill Park. It's not this fancy, it's not a hawk signal. And that thing did not work for the whole first year it was up. It would either flash 24/7 or it just wouldn't flash. So cars kind of got desensitized to it and just ran it all the time. What kind of warranty does this have?
So the issue, as I understand it, at Signal Hill is really a maintenance responsibility issue. I think I spoke to the governing body about that at one time. It's in county right away.
Right, yes. It's
It
not
was
ours.
installed by their contractor that was building a subdivision that extended the trail through the park. VDOT normally would maintain that, but VDOT, that flashing yellow beacon is not a VDOT approved crossing, so VDOT would not maintain it. Prince William County contacted us asking if we wanted to remove it. But it's not ours to remove, and it's heavily used, so that would just leave pedestrians unprotected. So it sort of hangs in limbo. Nobody really wants to maintain it. Manassas Park has, I think our approach at one time was if they dedicate easement to us and right of way, we probably would maintain it. We'd bring it back to council governing body for approval to take on that maintenance responsibility. But that's my understanding of those pedestrian buttons get stuck quite often. And we replace PED buttons regularly. It's probably one of the most frequent signal modifications we have to make, signal repairs we have to make. And if you ever watch people with a PED button, it's fantastic. They sit there and hit them like 100 times thinking it's like a polling system. The more they hit it, the faster they're going to get the cross. No, that's not how it works. You enter a call into the system. When the system gets to the phase that would allow you to cross, then they know you're there so they don't skip you. That's all that button does. But, I think you get a lot of abuse of the button. A lot of people get impatient and say, hey, give me a way to cross. But I think if we were in a better maintenance arrangement, we probably wouldn't have as many issues at that signal. But again, it's really just a PED button function. The signal itself should not fail. It's a standard traffic cabinet. Traffic signals don't fail that often. So I feel pretty confident this will be better maintained and function the way it's supposed to.
When we boundary line adjusted Signal Hill Park into the city, we actually asked to take over that segment of road because it's a lot of our Independence Day event.
Right, we did.
The signal there, just being able to just maintain that for our residents, since our residents utilize that heavily. But the county was not interested in relinquishing, even though it's surrounded by both parks, but because they have that subdivision, they don't want to get rid of it.
Yes, and Hari also made the point that this is an ADA compatible signal. So unlike normal PED buttons where they would get no indication that their push had been recognized,
Right.
this will give an indication to the pedestrian, okay, you pushed it, wait, I get it, wait. So hopefully we'll stop the 50 push abuse of the button, but you never know. People behavior can be strange.
Thank you.
Councilmember Moore, did you have a question?
Just a brief one.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. The countdown signal allowing people to walk across the sidewalk, that can be changed? I know it's set to VDOT standards, but seniors sometimes need longer time, or people who are disabled, than what VDOT has put as their standards. So we as a city could decide to adjust that time to get across the intersection?
Absolutely. What Hari was saying earlier is it is a standard based on the distance across the street. So it's a multiplier. However many feet it is across times a speed, that humans are anticipated to travel. But there's nothing stopping the city from increasing that at any time.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
Can I say something? Thank you very much. I'm supportive of doing something. I believe this brings confusion. The reason why, I've seen the one on Eisenhower Avenue in Alexander City, and when I come up to it, when they first put it in, I think a couple of years ago, everybody's confused. Nobody knows what to do. And when you have signals and then they try to do something different, it's very confusing. On Washington Boulevard, they looked at doing something like this in Arlington County, just for people who cross. Just basically that's it. So what they did is they just basically kept the same type of traffic light. You got the one, but you press the one that doesn't. I find like this becomes very confusing for people. They come down, they don't know what to do. It's different from, it's not consistent, and it's like going to DC where everything's on the left instead of having something consistency, making it simpler and easier for everybody on the day-to-day. So I do believe we could do something. I'm willing to try it out. I would assume if it is cause confusion, you could always adjust it in the future to like a regular traffic signal. But thank you for the presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
This is very similar to what's on 123 in the town of Vienna, correct? Over there by the Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the first time I encountered it, I just kind of used common sense. That when it's yellow, you slow down, it's red, you stop. I've never tried to cross 123, I never will, but yeah, I like to live. I like to live. But like I said, that's what, a 4 or 5 lane road, probably a little bit faster than here. Folks there seem to get it, so I have no problems with this. Something's got to be done.
And that's just what you said, that it seemed instinctive.
Yeah.
That's probably why the compliance rates are so much higher than the flashing yellow beacons. It's something that people are used to, same principle people are used to. Yellow means slow down, it's about to turn red. Red means stop.
Right.
It's very intuitive for drivers.
Versus 4 flashing yellows and no one knows what to do. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Amaya?
I have a silly question. Will there be training from the police officers just to, make that more kind of like an easy transition, I guess, from the problem that you think we're going to have?
You're saying training of police officers?
No. Like
residents.
Have police officers to make sure that people are understanding how it's going to work. Is there going to be like a transition time? Like in other words, are there going to be any police officers kind of checking to make sure people are following the rules?
We give tickets.
Not tickets, I'm just saying like, okay.
A warning or something.
Something that say, hey, and then you have to slow down, I don't know, something.
So, we have planned, and we understand, and that we talked about this back when the Complete Streets analysis was going on. Based on that consultant's recommendation, public outreach is key. Education is key. People are not used to seeing these all over the place. You really need to go out there and let people know that it's coming, let people know what it is, and let people know how it works. Okay. So we actually, pending your approval tonight to move forward with the bid for construction, that will be our next job as staff, is putting together all of the materials, getting a dedicated website, or getting a dedicated web page up on the city's website to educate people about this signal, linking them to videos like this, maybe creating some new videos, finding some new videos, but also, putting this out on our social media platforms. Here's what a hawk is, here's what's coming to your area. talking about this, handing out flyers, brochures, pointing people to our information at our pop-up events. And then, we're going to host transportation town halls to talk about this hawk, to talk about what it is, and to talk about our HSIP improvement plan and our other transportation projects. So if that's what happens tonight, is that the governing body decides to move forward with this and to direct staff to enter into the bid process, we'll start our efforts towards public outreach and education.
That was the question that I was trying to convey. So thank you for the answer.
And really quick, you may want to add schools into that, into the roadshow. That's something that we learned and with the work that we've been doing. We start with the little ones, and it works its way up.
Are you okay now? No? Okay.
You're still confused?
Yeah, I'm not driving through it.
Comments or questions? Do you have a follow-up? No?
We're just picking on him.
Yeah. Councilmember Javed?
Thank you for the presentation. My only question is, or concern is, like, why wouldn't it just stay solid red throughout the remainder of the period?
Well, because some pedestrians, especially bicyclists, are going to move through the intersection very quickly. There's no sense in delaying vehicular traffic any longer than necessary. So you actually have permission to go on the flashing red if the intersection is cleared. So on a solid red, you do not have permission to go, but on a flashing red, you have permission to go if the pedestrian, and that's what the signs will indicate, is that if you see a flashing red and there's no pedestrian in the crosswalk, you're okay to proceed with caution.
Right. But it's still counting down 15, 14, 13 while it's flashing, right?
Correct.
See, my concern there is that some pedestrian or biker might see that time and just our blind spot just kind of rushing through it, and the motorist thinks they have a clear path, and then, they kind of just collide. So my thing is just keep it red until that time stops, and then the car could proceed.
Yeah, the federal standards wouldn't allow to keep it red. Otherwise, it would be like a standard signal.
Mm-hmm.
The whole objective of this hawk is when you don't have design criteria met for a typical standard signal, but at the same time you want to make a crosswalk safe for pedestrians and do some kind of pedestrian signal device. That's when hawk was introduced. The objective is to make pedestrians safer, but at the same time keep the traffic running as often as possible. So there are some challenges, but again, considering non-signal versus the rapid flashing beacons, which do not have as much compliance as hawk, the research says that it does help reducing crashes.
Okay. Follow-up?
No.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Comments? No? Okay.
One more question, sorry.
Yeah.
So we're doing one pole with, I guess, extends it all the way from both sides of the traffic.
So this span is a little too long for one pole and mast, so we'll be having a pole and a mast on each side.
Oh, okay, I didn't see the two poles. Okay. And then that's the cost, is $259 for both or each?
It's total cost.
Total cost.
Okay.
That's it, sorry.
You done?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. This was excellent presentation. Staff recommendation is that the governing body authorize staff to seek bids for the construction of hawk signals in Park Central and return at a future date with the bids received.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Super.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Consideration of renovation or expansion options to address inadequate office and operational space needs.
Okay, good evening, members of the governing body. So, as you all are aware, in the 2000s, the city built 4 schools, fire station, police station, and a community center. What wasn't addressed was the city hall and a building for Calvin's department, the community development department, which combines development services and also public works. So the Development Services right now is housed in the Bloom's office that was formerly the Neighborhood Library, and Public Works is still in the building along Manassas Drive, right next to the police station, which is a very old building. So City Hall was addressed through the downtown development and this building, but the last thing we have to address from a facility standpoint, before we talk about renovating anything else, was getting that department finally a building that they can utilize. So we looked at an option about buying a industrial building along Digital Drive. We still have a contract in place that, if approved, I'd bring back to you all for approval, and a negotiated agreement with the owner to buy that building and to move Public Works there and do some renovations. However, when we were reviewing that, we also had a development that was going to pay for that, right? So in the budget, we have about $4.5 million budgeted for this project. There's also an additional $6.5 million developed by that development. It's about $11 million, and you'll see the numbers tonight, kind of how that would work, along with an additional $7.6 million from that Digital Drive development over 10 years in annual tax revenues that could be utilized for ongoing renovations as needed. Probably all that's not going to need it based off of the numbers we're showing here tonight. So at the meeting when we were discussing the future of the Community Development Department building, the question was asked about what it would cost to renovate the existing Public Works building. So we went back and asked AdTech, or one of our design engineers, to come back and evaluate, kind of give us some rough math about what it would cost to renovate the Digital Drive building versus renovation of the Public Works building, and then adding a rebuild of the Public Works building to meet all the requirements, because it's our belief that if you try to renovate that thing, just like when Cookout tried to renovate that building, they had to rebuild it. It's an old building. They weren't able to renovate it. They had to rebuild it. The same thing we believe is going to happen in that building over there. That's why we added kind of that rebuild, because that's really your true comparison when you're looking at today's presentation. Look at the rebuild cost versus the Digital Drive when you're doing your kind of your own analysis of what to do here. So tonight we're going over just this discussion here about the evaluating all these different options, so you guys are better informed to make a decision about next steps with what you want to do for securing the final building that we need as a city for our important department, the Community Development Department. So I'll hand it over, Mark or Ashley? Ashley. Just click right to go through the slides.
Okay. Hello, I'm Ashley Beeson with AdTech Engineers.
Can you please speak directly
yep,
into the...
Sorry. So, again, I'm Ashley Beeson with AdTech Engineers, and the city hired us because the Community Development Department was running out of space, and they are currently in 2 different buildings, which is not ideal. So they had us review 2 different sites, as he just mentioned, one being the current Public Works building and the other being the existing warehouse building, with the intent of consolidating the Community Development Department, which is Public Works and Development Services, as well as some other city departments such as Fire Administration, School Transportation, and City Hall.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that part. So we've talked about schools before, but remember we had a 4th level plan on this building, and we never got that. So we're looking at options about potentially putting those services in one of these 2 buildings as well.
So we visually reviewed the 2 sites and met with city staff to go over what kind of space is needed for all these various departments, space, office space, parking space. And then we also worked with a cost estimator to come up with a rough order of magnitude cost for renovation and or construction that would be needed to accommodate. So for the first site, the existing Public Works building at 331 Manassas Drive, the site is actually 2 parcels, 9 acres. It's oddly shaped. Right in the middle is the police station parking lot, and the main Public Works building is a pre-engineered metal building, 1-story, 9,600 square feet of office and some bay space. The building has been many things over its 50 years of existence, and it's been a police station and a fire station, and then Public Works took over in the mid-'80s. The site also contains forest and FEMA floodplain, wetlands, and deep water habitat, kind of taking up a large portion of the site. And there's also a one-story garage building towards the rear and about 67 parking spaces kind of spread out throughout the site. There's also topographic issues of some steep grade and other challenges on this site.
So the building sits within the floodplain?
It's actually right along the floodplain. But we would have to, I mean, if anything was done further, we would have to do a floodplain study to determine the exact location. We didn't do any testing or invasive investigations on the existing building, but given the 50-plus years of the building's age, there are highly likely unforeseen issues such as mold and asbestos that are likely present. So the second site is at 9115 Digital Drive. It's currently privately owned. The site layout is functional and efficient. There's 94 parking spaces, as well as vehicles can drive into the building and park inside there. The building is 20 years old. It has about 38,800 square feet of warehouse space and 9,200 square feet of two-story office space inside the building. The warehouse portion is a pre-engineered metal, and the office spaces inside are either wood frame or CMU. These two tables show the space needed to accommodate the various departments. So we looked at and talked to city staff about all the departments' requirements, and the first table shows 311 Manassas Drive, and for all the departments versus just Public Works and Development Services. So no more base space is needed in either scenario. For office space, about 15,000 square footage of more office space is needed for all departments versus about 3,000 square feet more office space needed for just Public Works and Development Services. About 44 more parking spaces are needed for all departments versus 6 more for Public Works. But because of the constrained site, only about 95 max total parking spaces can fit on the Manassas Drive site. For the second table is the Digital Drive. There's tons of bay warehouse space, so no more is needed there. For all the departments, you need about 11,000 square feet more of office space and pretty minimal additional office space needed for just Public Works and Development Services. But it should be noted that, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but the existing office space in Digital Drive is split into 3 areas. There's a portion in the front, portion in the middle, and the portion in the rear. So if it was just Public Works and Development Services, then they would be split up into 3 areas, unless further renovation was done. No more parking spaces are needed on the Digital Drive because county vehicles can drive into the building as well and park there. So now for the fun cost items. This table shows, it has a lot of information here. It shows summary info, rough order of magnitude, and pros and cons for 3 different options. 1A is the Manassas Drive building remaining and getting major renovation and additions. 1B is the Manassas Drive building getting torn down and rebuilt. And then option 2 is the Digital Drive building, where there'd be minor renovation and then some interior additions. And then also shown is the all departments versus Public Works and Development Services only, which is in orange. So the first column I won't go over again, that's just a summary of the total gross square footage needed for all the different scenarios. The second column is the rough order of magnitude. So for 1A, which is the renovation addition, it's roughly $14.1 million to have all departments be accommodated in that building and $6.5 million for just Public Works and Development Services. But it should be strongly noted that this does not include any costs associated with some unforeseen health issue or remediation needed. Again, the building is 50-plus years old, so the cost would likely be significantly higher than this, closer to a tear-down rebuild cost. For option 1B, the rebuild, $22 million for all departments, $12.2 million for just Public Works Development Services. And then option 2, digital drive, $14.7 million to accommodate all departments, and about $10.8 million for just Public Works and Development Services. And again, in that scenario, they would be split up into 3 areas of the building. The third column is just cost per square footage. And then as far as pros and cons, mention these, but just to call out again, with the renovation addition of the existing building, we have the health concerns. There's not a sufficient parking space available on the site. And then also there would be staff displacement during construction if we use the existing public works site. For the digital drive, the city would have to purchase the land, and there'd be some associated lost tax revenue with that. But no additional parking would be needed. It'd be very clean, no displacement of staff. Construction could be completely done, and then staff could move in. So that's about it. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
It's a lot of information.
I can see where digital drive is the winner, definitely. We get a 20-year-old building.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. I do have a question for the benefit of the public, and I think it's a Laszlo question. If we go with the digital drive option, that means that 331 Manassas Drive parcel is available for economic development.
Yeah, we've talked about this before with expanding Kent Village Square, right? Maybe potentially getting a small Hispanic grocer. That'd be kind of my target, or hopefully the future target of the city to secure something like that to help anchor that shopping center.
Okay. And about what's the size of the parcel?
That I don't have on the top of my head. I gave it to you last week. I'll email that.
It's 9 acres, the 331.
Oh, the entire, including the maintenance bay, or not? I thought it was just.
The 2 parcels together are 9 acres.
What's the front piece with just the public works? I want to say that's about two acres?
Yeah, that's about 2 acres.
Okay, yeah, about 2 acres.
2 acres. Thank you. Comments or questions? Comments or questions?
I just have.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were doing that side. Say we go to renovation route, total tear down, rebuild. Are we allowed to go higher instead of expanding the square footage?
You could go, I think, 2 stories without, you can always go through a special exception process, but.
Yeah. And then do we need to add more parking spaces?
It's difficult to add parking spaces on the site due to it's just a large amount of forested area and floodplain area that you don't want to encroach into. Right. So if you need we would propose a 2-story new building, but there's only but so much area on the site to remain for parking. Okay. So yes, we could look into doing a 3-story building and maybe gain a little bit more space on the site, but at some point there's still the environmental constraints and topography constraints.
Sure. Yeah. And for the renovation cost was $14 million?
Yes, and again, that doesn't include any unforeseen conditions.
Right.
But that's including all departments, so we
Right,
could
that's for
scrap, the city hall annex, the fire people, just do Calvin's department for the smaller amount.
Oh, no, well, I'm saying what is this 14 million cost is for the renovation the reconstruction of the building, the building right now.
No, it's a renovation and additions. The reconstruct would be the 22 million for all, or 12 million just for Calvin's department.
I see.
Option 2 is what we have now.
Okay. Do you have like a breakdown of these numbers?
Yeah, it's right here, so.
No, like how they get up to 22 million.
Right, also
Because there's already utilities, there's already site work, paving's already done. You don't need to do groundwork.
The paving, I didn't go into the condition of the paving and everything, but it is in very poor condition in portions. It's also, there's also a lot of gravel parking areas that would need to be converted to asphalt.
Okay.
But we can provide a further breakdown. There's a little bit more of a breakdown in the report, but we do have a breakdown by utilities and asphalt and things like that if you would like us to provide that. It's not.
I mean,
in
I
the
would just like to see it, just so I could make comparisons.
Have you been to the building?
Yeah.
I haven't been to the building.
Okay,
I mean,
I
it's been a
strongly,
while.
I strongly do. I've been, I've been in and out of that building. I've been in and out of that building.
I'm not.
Hold on, I've been in and out of that building since the 1980s, back when my brother was a volunteer firefighter, and we're talking like 1986, 1987. It wasn't in the best shape then.
Oh, I agree.
I've been in there when it was just the police department. It wasn't in good shape then. We were in there, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
You could see.
Mold everywhere.
Yeah, it was.
It's bad.
It's beyond life. I mean, I feel for the folks that work in there.
The bathrooms don't work. I mean, it's
Right,
bad.
so I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree we need to do something, but I don't agree with necessarily we need to move it all the way down to Digital Drive.
Well, but also keep in point that, it was the other study that you mentioned that it's not included in this cost, the environmental study?
The environmental unforeseen conditions of the existing building for the renovation addition are not included.
And then there's a floodplain?
Right, there's a floodplain, there would be some analysis that would need to be done with that to make sure any new building would need to stay out of the floodplain.
And any hazardous materials that might have been used in the construction.
Exactly, there
Yeah.
might have to be soil remediation, I mean, who knows what's under there.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
I'm literally building a warehouse right now off of Telegraph Road, new construction. We have to do the whole groundwork, dirt work. My cost is literally half that, and this is a build-up from scratch. And I have a huge retaining wall I need to build too, but that's going to be
There
ridiculous.
would likely have to be a retaining wall. The rebuild was more of a rough estimate
Yeah.
than the renovation addition was, if that.
Yeah, no, that's
helps
fine. I just,
alleviate
if you can
concern.
provide the breakdown, help me make my decision. Which way?
Yeah, so you had, in the agenda packet, you have the full report.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
see
cost.
that, but it's just, I mean, it doesn't give.
The further breakdown that he's asking for was not included in the
Yeah,
report.
This doesn't
Got it,
include
okay.
everything else, yeah.
Mr.
You want some
Manager?
more than the cost estimate in the back table?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Manager, I have a question for you. Was the building, the one, I think I've talked to you, the one across from the high school, which was available for a period of time, a little bit smaller, was that available at all, or?
That one was actually larger. If we're talking about the same building, I actually
white
toured.
building across with like the
Yeah,
circle?
yeah, we toured there, and that one's actually larger. They
was
weren't
an
looking to sell, they were looking to do a long-term lease as well. And it was more geared towards the schools for like CTE, so, but it was much larger and would have been more expensive than the Digital Drive.
And the other question I have, and this is I'm not saying doing this, but what would it be to replace it with another metal building? Because I know metal is cheaper. I know you can customize metal. I've seen jail facilities that they do that. So I'm just wondering what would that general cost be?
Replace 331 Manassas Drive with a metal
Tear it
building?
down completely, then do a brand new metal building with an outfit. Just generally, is that?
I'm not sure.
That's what this
That is a metal
750 square, cost per square foot is on the high end of the range.
Right, is that a metal building? Because that would be cheaper. Metal building is definitely cheaper.
A metal building might be a little cheaper. Again, this 1B is very rough estimate. We did further breakdowns for 1A and 2. So yes, depending on the building type, we might be able to bring that down.
Okay, thank you.
Again, just remember the other challenge too is where do public works work while you're doing this construction, if you're doing it on 331?
I have another question. This is for you,
Yes, ma'am.
Laszlo. If we purchased the building on Digital Drive, like right now, we have the shop in the building behind the old police department that, if I'm not mistaken, the AC doesn't work so well. It's an inferno in the summertime. If we didn't go with Digital Drive, we would still be in that situation, right?
We would have to add HVAC and other things. So that's an
Right.
additional cost here, right?
Because,
We just replaced the HVAC.
could you?
Yeah.
We're speaking with the HVAC, in the garage facility
Mhm.
on the back parcel.
Mhm.
No, that building was completely upfit with air conditioning and new heaters in the past 2 years.
Okay.
So just
Okay.
last spring or summer, they completed the HVAC. They completed the air conditioning install and all new gas reservoir heaters were installed 2 years ago. So the actual HVAC condition of the garage is in good shape. It's the HVAC condition of the existing Public Works building.
Which is the old police department
that
/
we've
fire
been-
department.
Yeah, that we've been putting off because
Because,
we
yeah.
thought we were going to proceed with, a new facility, so.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jeanette?
Wait a second. Did you,
Yeah, Mark Lozier, General Services. I helped work on the report, and I wanted to point out the calculation for option 1B is merely the square footage times the rate that's in the column 3 that's up on the screen right now. So on an office building right now, you probably are paying $750, maybe it's $600, maybe it's $650, maybe it's $550. Maybe you could do it for $500. I don't know, but we have to be conservative in our cost estimates. So that's new construction, rebuild. It's just pure square footage. On the work that we've been doing with the engineers right now recently for like fire department renovation and other buildings, we were getting this range of $650 to $750. So we use $750. That's the simple answer to your question.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
well, at least you're also accommodating inflation with the more conservative figure. Yeah, thank you. Did you have?
Yes, I did.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. I heard mentioned, I think City Manager, you mentioned that the school system will be part of this digital drive possibly.
So
Sharing some
if we get
space.
the digital drive building, we have the option at least of adding them. That'd be the 14.7 includes the schools, includes fire, includes.
Oh, good.
That's great.
Yeah, but my recommendation would be to kind of phase it in.
Okay.
Right, because the development, wait for the so first, secure the building, wait for the development to come in, get your money, and then start doing, so let the leases, people stay, the businesses stay in there, collect that money, and then when you're ready now, you have the capital to go ahead and do the renovations, that's when you start, move, and you do all the renovations and everything else, and you move people over, including the schools. And potentially the City Hall Annex, if that's
Would the schools be
it.
willing to contribute to the capital?
I'm sure they would, but it's still our money, so.
No, I know it is, but still, it's coming off their books as opposed to.
Yeah, but we're funding, we have to fund their CIP. They don't get state money for capital, so it limits their, whatever they plan
Hopefully
to
the
do.
sales tax thing will go through.
I hope the sales tax thing goes
The other
through.
question I had was salt and sand retention, which is currently taking place at 331 Manassas Drive.
That would remain.
Yeah, it is a Calvin. Come on up, Calvin. I appreciate your expertise here.
Yeah, as Laszlo and Ashley discussed earlier, this is purely about the front 2-acre parcel
Okay.
that contains the old metal warehouse building. The existing garage would stay in place, the existing salt shed would stay in place. There are other storage buildings there. We still do, as Councilman Moore pointed out, need a place to operate. We'd love to have a salt shed on the other end of town so that we don't have to drive all the way from one end to the other to refill. But for right now, that's not in the options, not in the plans, so that will remain the city's salt shed and our, where we host our de-icing operations, so.
Fantastic. I just wanted to
Thank you.
say, I'm excited about the digital drive prospect
Yes.
and project. I think
Yes.
it's, just makes sense
Yeah.
economically.
It really
but,
does, yeah.
Yeah, support
And then
that
331
idea.
has opened up for economic development as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I have another,
Yes,
another
ma'am.
question. And this is probably more for Laszlo and,
Calvin?
yeah, Calvin. And I don't know why, Calvin, I keep forgetting your name. I think it's the hour of the day. I really do think that's what it is, the hour of day. So I know, like, right now, from what I know, which is not that much, but about shops and when you bring trucks in, you have to have special equipment to catch, like, leaks of oil and things like that. I guess hazardous material type of stuff. If we went with digital drive, as part of the renovations back there in those back bays, that would be part of the work that we'd have to do? And is that included in option 2?
You're saying that's the work we have to do in digital drive, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only time that you have triggering for actual catchment systems for oil leaks and things like that is when you're doing major repairs.
Okay.
Currently, we do not conduct major repairs in our fleet operations. The goal of the enterprise fleet program was to keep all of our vehicles in the 5 to 6 year age range so that we're recapturing our investment when we go to sell. But this is, we don't do anything that would be defined by the building code as a major repair in our daily operations at the shop. I can't remember the last time that an actual major repair, major automotive repair took place there. They're talking about dropping transmissions, pulling out engine blocks, exposing large amounts of fluid to the floor system. We do oil changes, but it goes directly into a catchment.
Okay.
So there's no major repairs that we conduct on a daily basis, but if so, there are actual bays there that are currently being used for major repair.
Okay, so it's there
Yes.
if we need it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And another thing to note
There's post office vehicles currently being repaired at this warehouse.
Okay.
That's the other thing to note is we can move the mechanic shop over to this building as well. Those buildings back there now are additional city storage facilities, which we desperately need. The cart barn is not going to be sufficient in the long run, so that building becomes available for storage.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay, so we are to determine a path forward. Thank you very much. That was excellent. Thank you. Let's just take a head count. 331 or digital?
Digital.
Digital.
Mike?
Digital.
Digital?
Digital.
Digital. I am also digital.
Digital.
Digital?
Digital.
Digital. Okay, digital it is.
You didn't have to see it.
She's like, I already know what it is.
Are you? Can you speak directly into your?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a decision right now. I still need more information.
Uh-huh.
And tying a purchase with a development and talking about future economic development when we don't have a proven concept yet, I mean, it's just too much in the basket right now.
So you're abstaining?
I'll abstain for now.
Okay, okay. So is consensus sufficient, Laszlo, or do you want a formal vote?
No, that's sufficient because now what we'll do is we'll take the purchase and sale agreement of that. We'll have to advertise that for
Okay.
public hearing, and then, so we'll be coming back with a vote on the actual purchase and sale agreement. of the
Okay,
building.
I hope we do not lose that building.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay, thank you. Okay, thanks, everybody. Moving on to 11D, which is HVAC replacement at the PD.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Mark Lozier, General Services. This item is actually a budgeted CIP item. It was currently budgeted at $250,000. We knew that it was going to be over the Virginia Public Procurement Act limit. We put out an EVA, Virginia's e-procurement system bid. RFP rather. We didn't use a bid. We used an RFP process. We also put it on our city website. To make a long story short, it went out to hundreds of HVAC companies. We had 13 companies come to our walkthrough and 5 companies answer the RFP. We had a great response and some really high quality responses. Our responses weren't just based solely upon buy this type of refrigerator unit or cooling unit and put it in and not worry about how it was going to be implemented. Our RFP process was conducted for the purpose of getting good price, good experience, a good project plan approach, and putting those factors together and rating the proposers. For this phase, we have 3 massive package units on the HVAC roof at the PD, and there are another 8 units for phase 2, which will be smaller upgrades for next year. So this first phase is really our heavy lift, and we wanted a really high-quality company. The company that was rated high, I asked the president to come to the meeting. Mr. Raj Singh is here today in case there were questions about his proposal. I included the proposal in the backup. The committee that ranked it was comprised of, it was Kenny, Calvin, and Alan. And they were the ones that asked all the questions and dug into it and came up with the proposal. The price is going to be $272,500. There was a little error in the agenda because the $26,000 that we're not doing was actually deducted twice, and so that's why it ended up wrong. So I think the mayor has a different motion. So we highly recommend that you move forward with it, and we'll be back to you for next year for phase 2.
Thank you very much. And also, thank you for the extra document with more information about the criteria. I was the one that asked the question. I had noticed that the rating criteria, installation, equipment installation, and project approach was at 25%. And my question was, is there a large or significant difference in the approach of the various companies? And I can see that apparently there is. What is the main contributor to the difference?
The main contributor to the difference is the depth and details that they provided to their project plan approach, like how they would phase it and how it would, what their plan for how long they're going to be down, all of those types of things. Actually, the project description. And some of the companies, that's why you don't do a bid, because you don't know what their experience is and how they're going to approach the project. And so the difference is based upon the thoroughness of their response and the plan that they provided us. And there was an extensive calendar and days details that the number one rated company provided. So that's how that, there's variations. It's how much work you put into it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, great proposal, interesting. I'm glad the police will be finally getting their air conditioning unit. Nova, do they have any other HVAC systems in our city? Is like this building Nova, or is it other buildings?
No, not currently. They're not in our city right now or maintaining. I'll be honest with you, I think their experience level is higher in greater areas than us. They do a lot of work with Arlington County and Fairfax County, which means they were, they have the experience. So they're not in the city right now, but based upon the experience, we're very confident in what they proposed.
And does the price that we have listed here include a maintenance contract?
Currently, right now, we don't have that included because we want to be able to negotiate that.
And is there any kind of a guarantee that comes with the purchase of their equipment?
There are manufacturer guarantees, full parts and labor for 1 year, and then there's 5-year and 10-year additional component coverage. You can buy that up just like you can on a car. So both the maintenance service and the extended warranty, we have up to the first year to execute those opportunities. And we're going to leverage those after the install and probably come back to you and say, hey, right out of the box, they give you their high price for those items. We think we can probably work on those and get those in play in year 1.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay. Comments or questions?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Comments or questions? No?
There was a motion provided.
There was. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that the governing body approve and authorize the city manager to sign an agreement with Nova Facilities Solutions Incorporated to install 3 new HVAC RTUs for the city's police station at a cost not to exceed $272,500 in FY24 as presented and subject to final city attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our second public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment?
Actually, just one comment.
Yes.
When we last met, there was a young man from the high school that came here. And I will say I was thoroughly impressed by that young man. I felt that even though this maybe not been the right forum, I was impressed that he had enough guts to come up and speak his mind, and he served as a good example for the adults in our community.
Absolutely, and whether it was the right venue for him or not, everyone has the right to come to city council and speak.
Right.
Everybody. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing no one, hearing no one, moving on to city manager's report.
Yeah, just want to report tonight that Tortino Mari did sign their lease with Park 170, so they're going to go on the end cap.
Excellent,
and
excellent.
we have about 3 other businesses that will likely be signing soon as well.
Yeah, excellent.
So this
Thank
Hawk
you.
signal is going to help with facilitating people across the street.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay. We will be moving into closed session. Dean, would you please read us into closed session?
Yes, I recommend the governing body go into closed meeting for the following reasons. To discuss the performance of the city employee, to discuss 3 separate prospective businesses and industries where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industries interested in locating in the city, to consult with the city attorney regarding 2 specific legal matters requiring provisional legal advice by the city attorney, and to discuss the amendment of the comprehensive development agreement between the city and the Village of Manassas Park LLC for discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the city pursuant to paragraphs 1, 5, 8, and 29 respectively of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Do we have a motion?
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We're in closed session. Take a 5-minute comfort break.
Ya te vas, adiós. Nos vemos.